Hi, thanks for joining me today on this example palm reading. We are going to mainly look at the signs of trauma in the palms, but also we'll be talking about the career of this lady who asked me to do this reading for her. Let's look at the hands as a whole at first. So her left and right hands. Immediately when I look at them, I see the long fingers and the squarish palm with the well-developed thumb. You can tell it by the top. I'll just change this color. The top phalange up here is equivalent to the length as the bottom phalange. So it's measured by the crease, from the crease in the middle. So there's a nice shaped thumb. It looks like a thumb that belongs to a go-getter, someone who literally can set her mind to a goal and take action on it. So the logical and the willpower are balanced. So she has very good sort of leadership skills as well. And what else do I see on here? Based on the palm shape and the fingers, she looks like someone who's very dependable. She be trustworthy and loyal, very practical and straightforward. Also see this hand as someone who's hardworking. There may well be a bit of a workaholic if the chances are there. And she might expect probably a little bit too much from herself, and so she's got to be careful not to overwork herself. So we shall get on to the lines now, and I'll bring up the left hand first, I think. Let's see. Yes, we have the left hand. Now the first sign of trauma, and she has confirmed that she has had several trauma incidences in her life. And the first one is this, what looks like a mole on the Mount of Venus. It's a long-term struggle with some kind of anxiety, possibly started at an early age in her life. And some of the signs of trauma here on this hand are these yellow lines up the top. They are rising towards the middle finger, which is Saturn, and that often depicts that at a young age there was some kind of trauma. Often these lines show up when the person has a lot of responsibilities at an early age as well. So that might have been a case for her as well. So as far as her lifeline, you can see here in the pink, she has a nice, basically strong lifeline. Sorry about my crooked lines, that's just not really working, is it? So she basically has a nice, clear lifeline on the main part, but she has a double lifeline, which at an early stage has a big worry line that cuts it and breaks it in half, literally breaks this part of the lifeline. So that's another sign of trauma, that the second lifeline that was there as support is disrupted. So that shows again at an early age, and these occurrences would all be before the age of 15. And I'll explain all the rest of the lines on this hand as well. In the blue, up the top, we have a Girdle of Venus. This adds a lot of sensitivity to the character of the person. The good things about the Girdle of Venus is that it can show someone who is compassionate. They understand the pain of others, but it can also indicate like a heightened state of nervousness, possibly a bad temper or a quick temper, and some kind of intensity, extra intensity in the character. Usually whatever character the person has, the Girdle of Venus enhances those qualities. Now, I often see these lines on an artist, and she has confirmed that she is a professional multimedia graphic artist, and she also does dancing. So that is a very creative person, in my opinion, and this Girdle of Venus will enhance that talent that she has. The other thing about the Girdle of Venus is that she may look tough on the outside, but the Girdle of Venus shows that she's actually quite gentle or soft on the inside. So for those reasons, people with the Girdle of Venus should try to be careful of becoming addicted to stimulants or medications and things like that. Next, she has a very long headline. The headline is the blue line here, and it's long because it reaches almost to the other side of the palm, and it reaches the area of the Mount of Moon, which is this area here where it ends up. Shows that she can have deep feelings and moods in her way of thinking, and she probably tends to overthink situations. Whenever something is exaggerated on the hand, then it enhances the quality. So the headline depicts our mind and our thoughts. So if it's long, that means that there's a lot of thinking going on, often overthinking, but at the same time, it's a good quality in a sense that she can think in detail. She probably explains things in detail, and she probably is good at her work as well. So she happens to be ambidextrous. She says that she uses both her hands. So apparently, though, she writes with the left mainly. So I would say that she would be left-hand dominant, but I am just reading both the hands today without considering which hand is the dominant because of the ambidextrous thing. So the question about the career, right, her fate line is much clearer on this hand, and in my opinion, this is the non-dominant hand. I'll show you why in a minute. Because the fate line is quite clear, and that's the career line. That means that in her mind, in her own knowing, she's had at least a clear plan. And the fate line cruises nicely right through to around age 50 before it shows dramatic change and some success like from 50 onwards. But because she hasn't had this steady career that the line so-called seems to predict, that's what tells me that this is actually her non-dominant hand based on a palm reading perspective. So it shows that, yes, her inner self has known her path in life, and that it's quite clear there. The yellow lines down the bottom of her palm, these are her Mercury lines, the health lines. Now, because they start from the Mount of Venus and cross the lifeline, it's making this point a time when she needs to be careful with her health, and that is normal for most people anyway, for around that age. I'm just marking the middle of the line. So she's around about here now, 40, 45, 50, 55. So it's around about the age of 60, 65 is her most vulnerable time as far as her health is concerned. So if she can be aware of that, that will help her out. Now, moving on to her right hand. And here you can see where the fate line is very different. And she does say that she has had many jobs and that she has been out of work as well. Now, the signs of trauma on this hand are clearly evident, again, in these lines that up the top, under the index finger, rise to the, under the middle finger to Saturn. So these are these trauma lines here from an early age. And so are these lines on the thumb, many worry, anxiety lines. So she has had anxiety and they are showing up on the tip of her thumb in all these crossing lines. And also the lifeline does not start out very smooth. So it's showing that her early life was difficult and probably have difficulty in school or studying or learning. They're crisscrossed for quite a long way before it leaves the headline in the orange. So the headline once again is quite long. It reaches all the way to the Mount of Moon over here with a fork. So this is, the fork is a good sign because it gives that extra practical ability, but with an extra line trying to cut in, it's showing that overthinking, obsessive, potentially disruption that's coming in from the outside. The way that the headline forms is, it's got a wave in it. It goes steady and then it's got a wave. If you can see that orange, and it rises and then goes down. That tends to be when somebody goes through a phase in their life when they have like ups and downs. So they have a low, they have a big low in their life, and then they have a big high. So in their mind, they've come out of their low. Okay. So this fate line in the pink, you can see that it has a fairly steady course up to a point, but then there are many changes. There's forks, obstacle lines. There's a period when there's no fate line at all, so there's probably a pause from the career, and that happens again. The fate line rises from around 35, 37, and then there's seems to be another pause before the career line, fate line, starts again. Not sure if this photo is 100% clear. I tried to clarify it a little bit more, but from what I can see, that there is a pause in the career line, which does, yes, start up again. It looks like in around the early 40s, 40, 42, 43, and then it shifts over again. You can see the career line shifts to another place altogether around about a few years after that. which then has a much better direction, which is rising towards the Saturn, middle fingers. On the other side, the blue lines are success lines, and they are very positive indicators that she can get her career back on track, and she hopes to fully return to her work. And I see that happening because of these success lines, and there's a few there, so she might be doing more than one thing, not just one career particularly. And in the light green here, I have this, there's a line, this some people call a passion line. It shows from the heart line, which is this line, from that line rising to between the ring finger and the little finger is a sign that someone is passionate about what they do, that they usually love their work, they're very passionate in their career. And from her lifeline, she has probably a change travel line coming out from around, I would say, between 45 and 50. There is a good chance of travel. Once again, she has the Mercury line, health line, that crosses the lifeline, coming from the Mount of Venus and making that time around her 60s a cautionary time health-wise. So overall, while there are some signs of trauma and difficulty on this hand, there's also signs that she's a tough cookie and she will be able to get reward for her efforts. Maybe it will be some sort of a good news or some sort of a change happening in her 40s leading up to the age of 50, shown by this single fate line here, and from the change that is happening in her life now, and based on the fact that she has these really good rising lines from the heart line to the ring finger. They can often show that she's happy in her career, and they're often on people who are quite creative in their field. So there you go. I hope that you've enjoyed that little lesson, and I look forward to doing more of these types of videos soon. Thanks very much.